Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens of Ibram, a loud round of applause for Dr. Akin Akinpelu.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm so sorry for keeping you standing. Please sit. Thank you. Don't mind them. I kept telling them, can I go ahead and speak? These guys they're tyrants. But I want to especially help me appreciate the Vice Chancellor one more time, Professor Abiodun. Thank you so much, sir. So much he can do for work tomorrow, and he chose to be here. And it's also great to see some really, really great people and great friends that I've not seen over the years. Help me celebrate Professor Adasonia. Help me celebrate her. Thank you, ma'am. You know, Professor Adasonia used to make us pray. Yeah, you know, and I hope she's still making you pray. Help me appreciate Dr. Agbola. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you, sir. I honor you. I appreciate you, sir. Our director, Datalium, help me celebrate Bode Robert. Help me celebrate. Great job you're doing. Dr. Wuseni, good to see you again. Amazing, guys. And I also have a few friends and Eagles who are also here. The MD of Mercury Lab, Damola Bangwe from here, David Nana from here, Pastor David Nana, Femi Alao, and some friends that came, Tolu and Juliet. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate all the organizers. How you guys pulled this is amazing. The Reflection guys, they pulled that magic in 2 days. It's amazing. And thank you. I feel very honored. And so let me just quickly go straight to the point so that we can get this very fast. We decided to do like a school tour. I said I was going to go to 15 African countries just to inspire students and talk to them. You know, and the reason is because I became cautious of sharing my story just a few years ago. I think just about 3-4 years. That people who grew with me, who lived with me, who met me at a particular time in my life, they never knew the things that happened to me, you know, in life. So, for example, if you met me on Covenant Shores, you'll get a story, another story about my life, you know, that you may not even know what happened before then. You know, I was telling the Queen for the first time, as close as we are, and I was telling her that she said that book was very interesting to read. I said, yes, very interesting to read because I lived on the street and I hawked on the street for many years of my life. And myself and VC, I was privileged to be sharing the story with him. You know, when he shared his own too, I was like, wow, VC, you need to talk about this. Growing up was not very, very exciting because it was more like a roller coaster. It was sinusoidal. You know how the sine curve is, you know, and sometimes it just comes down. So my father, who, I like to always talk about him. His birthday was yesterday. His posthumous birthday was yesterday, was 85, you know, and I always love to talk about him a little bit because my father got into Nigerian breweries, you know. He came into Lagos. All his cousins and family members, they got to go to school. One of them was Professor Babalola, who was Vice Chancellor of University of Lagos at one time, you know, and that's the last I heard, you know, about him. I think in the 90s or something. I don't know where else till he departed about 10 years ago, and he couldn't go to school, so he came into Lagos, and he was just looking for how to feed. Nobody was going to help him in the community, so one of his uncle, you know, who is like the best uncle of his that we are not even connected to. We've looked for them everywhere. We can't even find them, find the children, you know, but he said, come to Lagos, gave him 3 shillings or something to come to Lagos. So he came into Lagos, and they saw a signboard at Nigerian breweries that they are looking for a cleaner at Nigerian breweries. My father was excited. He applied as a cleaner in Nigerian breweries, and he got the job. 18 years down the line, he became the managing director of Nigerian breweries. That was exciting, you know. And that's not even the best of the story, because at that time we thought life was good. So my father had 6 cars in the garage. So we had 504 cars. We have 2 504, 2 505 cars, and 2 B2 cars. So my father had 3 to himself. My mom had 1 to herself. She was working at Apex Mill, which was the Thomas Watt as at that time. So she was working there. And the 2 children, we had a white beetle and a blue beetle, because we're 6 in number, almost half of a football team. So you required two cars, because the B2 car can only take 3 people with the driver. So we take 3 of us to school in Kaduna, take the 3 others to Kaduna, and that's how we went. Then my father came back from a training one day, and he was to resign under duress. As at that time, he had not planned to resign, and they said, well, this is the best they could do. Something happened, and they said, you have to go. He had only built 2.5 houses there, 2 completed ones, 1 uncompleted one, so he had to resign. Oh, thank God he had some cars, he had a few houses, and they gave him 400,000 naira for gratuity. You could buy a brand new car, a Peugeot 504 with 4,800 in that particular year. So it means that 400,000 naira, it may not sound like a big deal to you, but it was a lot of money, because you can buy 80 brand new cars with 400,000. So it was a lot of money. So my father took the money, but the problem was that everything he invested into just never worked after that time. He couldn't get resuscitated back to another job. He had to leave after a few months. He put himself into business, hoteling business, all kinds of business. They just never worked. So I saw 6 cars become 4 cars. I saw 4 cars become 3 cars. It's like a movie. I saw 3 cars become 2 cars. I saw 2 cars. So 2 cars means my dad will use one, our mom and the children, 6 of us, who would use the entire one together. So they drop us first, then take our mom to work. Then 2 cars became 1 car. Just only 1 504 car. Then the time came we couldn't feed in Kaduna at exactly that year. Then my father said, let's leave Kaduna. He sold the house he built in Kaduna. He said, okay, let's come to Lagos. Maybe we'll have a better life in Lagos. So we got to Lagos in 1991. So when we got into Lagos, at least he built a house in Lagos, so he wasn't going to pay rent. Everything was okay and fine. So one day, my father said things were very tough. The car he had, he got a driver. They painted it yellow. When you have a 504 car and you paint it yellow, that's the normal taxi before the emergence of the Uber and the Bolt and all of that. So it was perfect for it. It was the taxi. You trust Nigerian guys. So got the driver. After 2 months, they began to give story. After a while, something is spoiled. To cut the long story, the guy worked for 8 months. He never delivered for 6 months because he was repairing cars. So my father now got the car and said, you can't keep doing this. Give us the car. He that used to be a director, a managing director of an organization, began to ride a taxi. Just to let you know about life, and I want to explain a few things to you if you give me your time tonight. So he began to ride the taxi. We cried and we sobbed. We just never wanted to be called the children of a taxi driver. But he began to drive it. That's the only way we could go to school, and that's the only way we could live through life. And one day he came back, he said, life is tough in Lagos. I can never forget that day, 1994. And he said to us, he wants everybody to return back to the village. He built a house. I'm from Osun State. He built a house there, and he said that I want us to go back there. I built a 6-bedroom flat duplex there. I have a few houses around the place you can collect rent, and can we just start living there? So my mom said, no. We the children, we said, no, we'd rather die in Lagos, where things are working, than to go back to the village and we'll be forgotten forever. And he said to us that if you will not go with me, from today henceforth, you guys are going to handle your life by yourself. My nephew is here. He's probably hearing this story for the first time. He's a student of Covenant University. He's here. Toby is here. He's serving in the logistics department. He's probably hearing the story for the first time, because I was telling him that, did your dad tell you all the stories about all we went through? He said, I just used to hear a little here, a little there. I said, I'm going to tell you the full story of your school today. And that was it. We stayed in Lagos, and there was no money. How do we survive? We hit the street. That's where the story of From Street came from. We hit the street, and we began to hawk on the road. If you ever saw me outside, you would never believe that I hawked on the road. And I just didn't hawk. I hawked good time. I hawked for many years. I hawked 16 things on my head. I may look good. I smell like heaven. We go through hell, but we always come out smelling like heaven. See, and I'm not lying to you. If you put a tray on my head, the tray will stand. It won't move. It's mastered. I've gained mastery with it over the years, because something I did for about 9 to 10 years of my life. The first thing I sold in my life was that I sold what is called a nylon water, but we used to call it ice water. I don't know if you ever bought sugar in nylons before. I know you don't know what that means. You know the cubes. Really? Do you know the Gary inside nylon? How did you guys know it? No. Covenant children can't know it. You're all rich kids. Okay, so can you imagine that nylon? Can you imagine that nylon? Somebody pouring water into it and they tie it, put like 20 or 40 in a large bowl, put it on your head, put some block of ice on it, and you go around selling it. That's how people used to buy water. The bottled water you take that's the water people used to take. So I resumed in a Papa Wharf. That was where I started selling. I resumed at Papa Wharf that particular year, 1998. So I resumed in a Papa Wharf. I began to sell. 1994 rather, we began to sell. Then I was selling because I used to go to private school. I didn't know how to do it. I said, buy water. But nobody was buying from me. Buy cold water, chilled water. Then my colleagues in the business came to me and they did proper orientation. They said, don't be deceived. Nobody is going to buy this from you. They said, this is how to sell it. I said, how? They were doing the induction program for me. They said, you will shout. You will say, cold ice water tuture. See, as funny as that sounded, the magic worked. Because as I began to shout, cold ice water tuture, suddenly people began to call me. That means I was speaking the language. Now they know that this is the water that they drink, not buy cold water, buy chilled water. No. So I began to shout. In fact, let me use the tone for you. Cold ice water tuture. You know, it took me a long time to know that I was speaking bad English. Because cold is ice is water. Tutu is just the Yoruba version. We're saying the same thing. But me and my friends, when we wake up every day, another person was selling cigarette. Ejike Ozulumba was selling, he was selling Benson Hedges and all those kind of cigarette. I would carry water. The other person was carrying drinks. And we would just be strolling on the road. And we began to sell. I mean, how much was pure water? 50 kobo. Have you seen 50 kobo before? Now I got you there. Did you see 1 naira before? You never saw it. Okay, a few people say, except the people in this front line. These people, they know all the story. They know the story. So imagine you on the road and the best you made was 10 naira in a day. But you sold everything inside the ball. Then one day somebody walked up to me and said that, see, there's a better way to sell things. Now, there's something called sachet water. So the nylon for sachet came out for making what you call pure water. It came out and said, you can sell that and make, the propensity to make greater gain is like times 5. And they explained the whole stuff. I'm like, wow, this is good. Then we started buying pure water. Then you put pure water on your head. We began to look down on those selling ice water because pure water is a thicker nylon and while ice water is a weaker nylon. So we look at them as people just starting life. But we are now, can you imagine doing levels inside poverty? You know, and we don't even relate with them. We don't talk to them. But we are all hawking. We are all hawking. You know, poverty, I mean, you see, poverty is a it's a very bad thing. Tell your neighbor, don't be poor. Tell somebody, say, don't be poor. So, I got him started selling pure water. Let me cut the long story short. After a while, we made money. Somebody told us that, pure water is good, but can you start selling drinks? You will make more money times 10 of what you'd have made in ice water from drinks. And it was true. So we got money together and we began to sell drinks. Guess the drinks that we were selling. I'm going to catch you here now because you won't know it. I sold green sand. Do you know green sand? I sold crush. Do you know crush? Not the one you have in your hostel. Not the one you have in your classroom. Not the guy you have a crush on. Crush drink. Do you know crush drink? You can't know it. What's the color of crush? Really? Where did you see it? Okay. Gold spot. Do you know gold spot? I sold Limca. Okay. So it's getting closer now. Now, I sold Mirinda. But there's one I'm sure you don't know. It's called Tandy Gurana. If you know Tandy Gurana, they would not have given you admission into Covenant. And that's what I began to sell. So you put that in a bucket on your head. We began to walk on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, that was how we were living our lives. It was very difficult for us to go through life. We used to be rich. Now we're called poor. Even poor people began to call us poor. One day I came back from school. I didn't have food to eat. Now, because we used to be rich, we used to buy rice in bags, beans in bags, gari in bags. So all I knew was bags. I never knew people buy paint bucket. I never knew that people buy in Derica. You know, after Derica, do you know Derica? You know, after Derica, there's another one. There's half Derica. Then after half Derica, there's milk cup. You know, after milk cup, do you know there's another one? Just with your hand like this. And sometimes they puncture the cup, the people selling it, and when they make it full, actually what you are getting is half because the thing has gone down. Then I went into the store, brought 3 bags of Gary out that we have used like 10 years before. Brought it out, and I was looking for Gary of 10 years ago. I brought it out, poured it into, there was so much of sand. God punished sand. We took a sieve, sieved the sand out of it. I got good Gary out, and I said, wow, what will I eat with this Gary? There was no salt in the house. I hope you know salt with Gary is luxury, not sugar. There was no salt, and there was no fish. Then I went to somebody 3 blocks away from our house, and I said to her, ma'am, can you please give me Gary, sugar and granite? If you cannot give me Gary, just give me sugar and granite. When my mother comes, we will pay you back. The woman looked at me and said that I am not responsible for your father's misfortune. That was the day that I took my life into my hand. See, the woman who said that to me, imagine, she's selling Gary, sugar, and granite. Do you get it? So we are both poor. The difference is that she could afford to put it on a tray outside. And she looked at me, and tears came out of my eyes. But I still collected it. I mean, because hunger. See, he that is on the ground is not afraid of a fall. You see, you will still abuse me tomorrow. I'm hungry. So I took it, but I vowed that I am going to help her to interpret what she said better. I vowed that strongly. If I have time, I can go back into the future how one day the children, I paid for their jam fee and I sent 2 of them to the university. The same woman who told me that, am I responsible for your father's misfortune? In this kingdom, you don't need to be offended with people. You will just know that God is good, and you forgive to move on. So one day, after selling all these things, I was at Nigerian Port Authority selling drinks one day. There was a man who was a team leader, just a team leader amongst that department. And he said, how come it looks like you speak some good grammar? Why are you hawking on the road? And I said, well, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I think what I would have said would have been, I have to take my life into my hands. There's nobody, my father is like this, my mom too is hawking, what are we going to do? So the man said, come tomorrow, I'm going to help you. And I was excited. I could dance overnight. I rejoiced. Because suddenly it just dawned on me that this is how people's stories change. If there was a song like Jesus, yeah, that's maybe what I would have sung. Or I would have just done something real good. And I woke up. He said, come 10 a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, I got there 9 a.m. because of what use was my destiny. If they give me 10 a.m. and I cannot be the get there 9 a.m. I got there 9 a.m. The man got there 11:30. When he got there 11:30, he began to apologize to me. And he said to me, he's very sorry. I said, sir, you can't be sorry. You have something more important to do with your life. Can you imagine? I was explaining why he had to be late. That even if he kept me till 6 p.m., honestly, I have no reason to be angry. The man said, I like you. He said, follow me. That's how I followed the man. 2000. This is year 2000. I followed the man. And as we were going in a Papa Wolf, we stopped by a place where they were selling food. They were selling rice, plantain, spaghetti, and then you used to mix, you can mix rice, beans, spaghetti together just to make it real good. You mix those stuff. So as we got there, the man stood and was talking to the woman selling. I said, God really loves me. Because, do you know why I said God loves me? Who told this man that I've not had breakfast? You want to help me, yes. But on the way to helping me, you thought of me to have breakfast. Wow. Then, as they were talking, it's just that it went longer. So I didn't understand the story again. Then suddenly, what I began to hear, Naim be that, say Nahim. Then the next thing I heard was, he don't come. He said, yes, he don't come. Saying go starts now, saying, do you know how Abraham and Isaac got to the mountains of Moriah? And Isaac had to say that, yes, at least I'm a child, but I've seen the wood. I've seen, there's nothing here that looks like an animal. So I hope it's not me you guys are thinking about. That was what I thought about, that it looks like these guys are talking about me. Then he said, he go start. He said, he go start. It dawned on me that the help the man wanted to give me was where they were selling food. I was angry. And I was crying. But he that is on the ground cannot be afraid of a fall. How can I prove it that I don't need that kind of job? Do I have any proof in my life to show that I can't take that? I have to take the job. Then suddenly, a girl just showed up with a Maggie cube, Maggie cube star. Is it Maggie star cube or Maggie cube star? So Maggie star, yellow. He just came with a robe. That's the coverall, you know. And came straight and just hung it on my head. I was wondering, you know. I didn't know I was doing induction ceremony. They tied it at the back, and the woman looked at me. He said, this is your job. You will wash plate, you will carry food to them in the office, and you return the food. This is how much I'll pay you per day. My money, no day miss. If it misses, I will remove it from your daily wage. How much was the daily wage? 10 naira. And of course, you see, 2 months after, so my mom too now started selling, so I now moved there. 2 months, and I started doing 2 months after. That's how the police came to Nigerian Port Authority, and they said to us, nobody's allowed to sell here again. That's how they pursued everybody. I said, yes, because that woman was very wicked to me. So I was happy that they sent all of us packing, let all of us go back into poverty. Then we left Nigerian Port Authority, we came back to our house. Then, of course, we're thinking of the next line of business. I must have mentioned like 8 things now. Then, since we used to have bags, so my mother got a contact that we can go and buy what they call firewood. Do you know firewood? An alternative for cooking, like gas. Yeah. Now, I have to explain it. This is covenant, too. You can't do firewood, though. Have you cooked with firewood before? Let me see your hand. Why are you lying? Okay. So we would trek from our house in Surulere. We would trek to Ebute Meta West with the bags. And we would go buy firewood. We would put all the woods inside and we put it on our head and we would trek back to Surulere. Only to lay the wood 3 by 3. How much were we selling it? 10 naira, 20 naira. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how some of us survived. One day, I don't know whether it was my brother or my dad that met somebody. Since we used to work in Nigerian breweries, that was when the Amstel Mortar kiosk came out. There used to be a kiosk then for Amstel Mortar. That's how they gave it to us. And they told us that you can only sell Amstel Mortar inside that kiosk. My God. When we picked up that kiosk, we just didn't sell Amstel water. We sold Coke, Fanta, Mirinda, so that they will not say we're not loyal. We sold Amstel Mortar, we sold Motonic, we sold Vitamod, we sold all kinds of drinks. Then we now put a small show glass on top of it. The top is for buns, the below is for puff. Then the other side we have chin chin late on it. So that kiosk alone was doing like 15 businesses, including the fact that somebody sleeps there overnight. He pays for the rent, he sleeps there overnight, wakes up by 6 a.m., he leaves us to start selling. And I kid you not. I kid you not. I kid you not. Then the guy will pay for it. By 6 a.m., he would have taken his bath. He would have gone to work. He will come back 9 p.m., and that is his house. And we're selling all kinds of things. You know, one day, I met a woman whose name is Mrs. Gazama. That woman, of course, there are people I'm looking for in my life, and I always mention their names because people who have been good to me or good to my family, I am looking for a way to be good to them again. You know how the king said, is there anybody still remaining in the lineage of Saul that I may show favor unto him? There is this woman who had a bad leg, but she had a factory where she was selling eggs. And she said to me, you can do better. Come and start selling eggs for me. So I went there, and she said, where's the money? I said, I don't have money. She said, you have to pay before you pick it. And I went on my knees. I said, Ma, if you can trust me, give me the egg. I will pay you back every Friday evening. And the woman entrusted me with the egg. The first day I got into the place, I went to the guy selling eggs. And I said, can I sell egg to you? They said they already have their supplier. I went to the second person. They only have their supplier. I went to the third person. I see, my PTA was 100 naira. But 100 naira, PTA was our school fees. It was a lot of money. You understand? It was a community school, like Professor Humphrey said to us. PTA that we're using to go to school was 100 naira. We had to go to a place where they were collecting 70 naira. Estate Baptist Primary School. Imagine you are in St. Anne's Primary School. Then from St. Anne's, you moved to Estate Baptist Primary School. It was a strong gap. It was a strong gap. It was a school you can go to comfortably without wearing shoes or half shoe, and you don't feel bad. So it was a consolation. Then the woman said, I can pick the egg. Then nobody was going to buy the egg from me. Then one day I said to them, I said, Ma, I don't know, how much did they sell the egg to you? They told me the amount. I said, can I give you this egg for free on Monday? Pay me back on Friday. The woman said, oh, that's good that the other person that supplies, they pay before they collect. I said, no, don't pay me. I will give you the money at the end of the week. That was how I began to sell the eggs. Ladies and gentlemen, there are some of them still owing me till date. And I tell you, I kid you not, if I see them, I'll remember them. I will remember them. You know, one day I was lecturing MBA students, you know, and I was teaching corporate finance. I was teaching a particular course in corporate finance. And one of them asked me a question. He said, you talk, the way you teach is very, very practical, and I like it. So the lady from what is it, Pakistan or so, I don't know the country she's from, she just said, sorry, did you go to Yale? Did you go to Princeton? Or did you go to Harvard? Mention the 3 universities. I said Princeton, Yale, Harvard. I said, nobody in my generation has been to those schools. And I'm not lying, nobody in my lineage has been to that school. That nobody. They said, where did you learn it from? I said, you want to hear a story? I learned sales from the days I was selling egg. I said to you guys in ALDC, there's nothing you are doing now in your life that you have not done at a smaller dimension before. As you go through life, it's just amplification. I'm telling you, it's just amplification. It's amplification. As I'm speaking now, there are memories in my head about all the times that I stood here, privileged to stand here to speak. Many years that I was privileged to say. I mean, I can remember that very well now. And that's why what you are doing now, don't underrate it. Because there's a lot of potential there. But time is a corrector. Time is a healer, and time is a revealer. You can't tell. So, I picked it up, I started selling the egg, and that's how I sold egg. Then after egg, we sold all kinds of things. You know, you see that guy that took me to a Papa Wharf, that he wants to give me a job and took me to where they did induction with me with coverall, and they started paying me. You know, one day I was speaking at Institute of Directors meeting in 2016. I was privileged to be speaking at that platform. So when you are done speaking, you see people gather to say, oh, let's share, can we have your cards and all of that, which is beautiful. So as I finished, I had a few friends coming around to say, oh, I like your speech. Can you come do this for us in your organization? Oh, can you come train for us? Can you come do it? Oh, beautiful. Then as I was, there were 4 people in front of me, but I saw the 5th person. The 5th person was that man. So, see, this was 2015. When he took me for that thing was probably 1998 or something. So it was just about 17 years difference. I could still remember him. I had to quickly dispatch the 4 people in front of me to say that there's somebody I need to see and I need to confirm. So the man came. He said, how are you, sir? I said, I'm great. He said, I like you. Can I have your card? Can I have your number? I said, you have my number. He said, never. He said, there's no way I would have met a man like you in my life and I would not have kept the relationship. He told me to his face. I mean, as at that time, he was just he was in Nigerian authority, so he was just a general manager at that time. And general manager is big, you know. And I said, you know me. I said, did you work in Nigerian Port Authority so time? He said, yes, that's where I still work till now. I said, were you there at this particular year? Yes. I said, is your office so and so? He said, yes. He said, do you know me before? I said, I know you too well. As I'm speaking, you still cannot remember me. Say, I cannot. I said, do you remember there was one lad that you took, that you wanted to transform his life, and you took him to a place where they were selling food? The man said he can't remember. He said, but with everything I've said, there's no how I would have had that information about him. It means that this thing I'm saying is true. And he said, I am sorry if I really did this. And I hugged him, because in this kingdom, no offenses. I hugged him. I said, we are now friends. And I said, what did you say you want me to do for you? He said, I want you to train all my staff in Nigerian Port Authority. I said, this is my rate. This is how much you charge me. I don't play with money. I can forgive you. You're going to pay me money. And that's how I became my friend till date. So life was hard. It was very hard. I mean, and for me, one of the things I noticed was that I was going through a lot. I couldn't get something once in my life. Would you believe this? That I wrote JAMB 5 times, Dr. Agbola. How many of you wrote JAMB? Sorry, I wrote it 6 times. They seized the 6th result. I wrote JAMB the first time, second time, third time, fourth time, 5th time. They had to seize the 6th one. God saved me. If I wrote it one more time, that is 7 in the Bible is the number of what? Perfection. So it means that when, I don't know if you use a hard copy brochure. Did you ever use a hard copy brochure? There's always a guy's name that is in front, that the Muhammad something something. At a point, I just feel like, no, 2 things are supposed to happen from JAMB. Number 1, I'm supposed to make JAMB ambassador. Number 2, if you are going to put anybody's face to show how people ought to feel, to somebody who has been writing it consistently, and I feel like I told the JAMB, what did you call him? The JAMB president, or JAMB director. I told him this 2 years ago when we were both speaking at an event. Let's celebrate the Vice Chancellor. He's been so gracious. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I said that, hey, this is what happened to me. He said, wow. I said, yes, I wrote it many times. Many times. If you met me in my raw state, you would not be interested in dealing with me. Like I said, do I look like the story that I've shared? I don't smell like it. Even people who went to school with me. In fact, the people who have an idea of people who went to University of Lagos together. Oh, yes, you heard that, because I went to University of Lagos before I came here. I wrote JAMB 5 times, went to University of Lagos for a medical course, part 4, dropped out. Life was very hard. It was very hard. And I'm saying this because some of you can identify with me, some of you can be in some pain, some of you, a lot can be happening to you. Are you getting me? So I just want to be a testament of possibility to you. A testament of possibility to you. Everything was hard. Everything was hard. Now, enough of all the stories. Enough of all the emotions. Because I can see nobody is smiling again. But do you know that at 23, I made my first 1 million naira? That's not a testimony. At 25, I made my first 10 million naira. As at the time I was leaving this school, my portfolio was nothing less than 80 million. Now, that's a good place to clap. Oh, as Steve Oga was here, he would have told you a few stories. He was the press secretary. It was hard, but it changed. Things changed. Things changed. So I want to share with you maybe 2 to 5 things as time would permit, because we're past time now, on the game changers for me in life. I can't share with you all the stories, and that's why, please, if there's any gift of me you need in your life, is you get my materials. I don't sell materials to eat. I'm blessed. Right? But it's a way to connect with me. Or get it as a gift. I've written many books that will bless you. What's that? What happened? Did I show something? What was the thing? Oh, okay. Can I have all my books? Let me just show them very quickly. Somebody help me get it. So, what where the gate. Oh, somebody's got it here. Thank you. Help me appreciate this lady. She's beautiful. How are you doing? This is just by the side. I have a book here called Not Guilty. Not Guilty is the story of grace, that grace is a scandal. It's a scandal because no matter what you have been involved, the day you receive Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, that's the day that all your past are wiped away. That's a scandal. And grace is powerful. It will help you. But that's not the reason why I came here. I have one here called Dominion. It's called the Technology of the Spirit. My very good friend, Apostle Joshua Selman, saw this and said, calm down. You know, because I unlocked the secret of wealth about how a man in the Bible sat on the wealth of the world. He put it into the waters, opened up the bulwark and the ships, and covered the whole water and died, so that Babylon will perish. Then God raised the man Cyrus to reopen that thing, you know, and how to become very wealthy and great, particularly if you are called to be a kingdom financier. If Apostle Joshua Selman was impressed about this, maybe you can be impressed. Now, I have one here called 7-Star Teacher, one of my intellectual piece. There's one called the 7-Star Student. So my education piece, because I'm big on education, I lead the think tank for education for 8 governments in this country. 8. Where I coach commissioners and special advisors on education. And of course, I didn't share part of my story when I left ExxonMobil and God said I should go and be a teacher in the classroom. It doesn't make any sense. Working with God doesn't make sense. How can you be in ExxonMobil or get a job as a teacher? When I was a teacher, I was never bold enough to tell anybody I was a teacher. I was never bold enough. I'll tell people I was consulting. I was an educational consultant, but I was teaching. But many years down the line, I understood why God sent me there. Because I went to the classroom. When I left the classroom, I began to train teachers. I've trained over 5,000 teachers. From training of teachers, I moved into what I call policy making in education. Then from policy making in education, I became an authority. My PhD thesis was in education. So if you're in HR, human development, whatever, and if you're a teacher, this will help you. This book was forwarded by 3 guys, John Maxwell, Andrew Nevin. Am I boring you? On this campus, listen, on this campus, in our days, we don't do business. Do you do business now? Oh, you do business. So in our days, they don't do business. You can be expelled for doing business. Yes, and I'm telling you. Oh, Adasuni was not here, I would have told. I would have asked Professor Adasuni to tell you. Huh? Business. I can't hear you. So, Professor, okay, I can't hear you. So we're not doing business, but I was doing business. I did about 8 businesses. You know, I did 8, but you can't find me. So one day they brought me before SDC, and they interviewed me for 2 hours, and they said, this guy is pure. When the economic upheaval broke in 2007, I lost all I ever had in terms of resources, including the monies of people that I put into stock market, forex market, and when we're just about to get into real estate. And I was crying for many months because how am I going to afford this? And I wrote this book in 2 hours. It's called Stay in Your Process. 2 hours. I wrote it with my tears. Don't look at what you are going through. Look at where you are going to. This was forwarded by great guys. I won't mention the name so that you won't laugh again. There's one I want to talk to you about. It's called networking. I think this is my best book. If you're in ALDC, you know I talked about a lot about this. If you had Cook Read, I talked a lot about this. I think this is my best book. I have 7-star students, powerful book that helps you as a student, all of that. I think it's my best because so you hear stories practically about how I began to serve presidents of nations, governors of nations, kings and queens, and all of that. How did I get to the point where I began to do that? What were the strategies that God gave me? Because if you leave school, you can be pumped up that you are going to take over the world. So, but the day you leave, 1 week after, you have not taken over the world. 2 months after, you have not taken over the world. And I shock you, 1 year after, you have not even taken over your local government. If you are not careful, 10 years after, there's something called critical conversion. What you have been taught here has to be critically converted. And there's a skill to convert. Everything Papa tells you, everything the lecturers tells you, you must be able to critically convert it. And this will help you. I think it is good. I won't tell you who forwarded this one to. Then, of course, the reason why I'm here today, the story of my life, volume 1. This is not the best I can be. Oh, yes, this is volume 1. Because between the time I wrote this and the things that have happened to me, more powerful things have happened to me. So, the game changer, how to change every situation. So you can buy this for your parents, for your cousins, or anybody close to you. All my books are $20 now on Amazon. I'm not cheap and I'm not sorry. I'm telling you why. Listen, I've gone through so much pain that you want to buy into my pain with 1 naira. That means you don't appreciate my pain. You don't appreciate my pain. How can I suffer and you want to buy my book for 1 naira? No, that's wickedness. It's wickedness. $20 online, and I'm not sorry. Covenant University, I'll give it to you, 5,000 naira. Only, listen, only for today. After today, if you ever get my material, $20. You swipe your card, you get it. But you can confirm online in case you have a lot of money. You can confirm it online. How did we get into this? Let's leave this. This is a distraction. Game changers that will bless you. I got a lot of emails, and some of you that DM'd me between Saturday and now, Friday and now. No problem. Please, if you need to connect with me, because I cannot share my personal number with you, but you can connect with me online. Send me DM on Instagram at I am Akin Akinpelu. That's my name, I am Akin Akinpelu. You get me there. LinkedIn is where you should be, Covenant. Just look for Dr. Akin Akinpelu. You find me there. If you do IG at I am Akin Akinpelu, that would be beautiful for us to connect. Just DM me. Once I hear Covenant University, I have soft spot for you. So, and that's the truth. So, the game changers that I think will bless you. I'm going to reiterate one story that I shared at Cook Read, and I'm going to drop the microphone. There are 10 strategies that I wrote here that was a game changer for me, and which is what I'm still working on. But I'm going to talk about 1 or 2, and because it is time up. Number 1 is this. If you're writing, write this down. You hear that a lot, but the power of vision. Everybody say the power of vision. Now, vision is the word mental what? Mental what? You can't be in covenant and not know that. Mental what? Picture of the future. These are things that, so we learned it here. Vision. See, you can't be great without having a vision practically, because your location as a person on earth is based on the level of your vision that God gives to you. So it's vision. I said something that sounded like the Bible, where he said that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. For Bill Gates so loved the world that he wanted Microsoft in every home. It's vision. You see, those days when I was suffering, I have a book called my Covenant book. I've been using that book for 22 years now. I would write. One day I wrote my check. So the first bank account I opened was at Haggai Business Bank, Haggai Community Bank. So the withdrawal slip looks like a passbook or a checkbook. So you could write yourself a check. So I will write myself, pay Akin Akinpelu the sum of 5,000 naira. And I will clip it on the wall. And I'll be saying it. One day, I passed by. I saw that I'd made the 5,000. I removed it, and I wrote another one. Pay Akin Akinpelu the sum of 10,000. I forgot about it. I continued to work. One day, I passed by. I saw that I had 10,000. One day, I said, no, let's make this thing great. Let's write the sum of 100,000 naira. So I wrote 100,000 for myself, 2001, and I pasted it. I pasted it, and one day I passed by, and I saw that has happened. Then I wrote another one again. I wrote 500,000 naira, and I passed by. I don't know the number of months or years, but I saw that, and I continued to write. Till date, I am still writing. Don't ask me what I wrote last, but till date, I am still writing. Vision. Where are you going to? Don't think that all the things that I are saying here is boo-boo. I'm telling you. It's vision. It's very important. Number 2. So many of you have gone to Dubai, right? Yeah, I know you go that a stone throw. So, every time you go there and you come back, aren't you annoyed with your country? The first thing that comes to your mind is, don't our politicians travel? So when they travel, what do they see? When they are seeing it, does it mean anything to them? Or they just enjoyed life? It's vision. I met the Minister for Artificial Intelligence in the UAE, 17 years old. The Present Minister for Trade in Taraba State, 22 years old. I'm telling you, serious guys. Tell your neighbor, how old are you? In case you are telling yourself that you are young. Bishop Abiy taught us, don't take it easy. Don't take it easy, don't take it easy. See, I'm trying not to get into pastoral mode because this is supposed to be an inspiration place. But let me tell you, we are in the days where the young shall lead them. There's something coming and there's a move of God that is happening. Let's leave a move of God. Let's continue talking. I'll come back and talk about the move of God. See, number 1 is vision. Number 2, let's talk about the power of relationship, which is what I wanted to reiterate that I shared at Cookrate. I said, if I'm to come back on this ground, one of the things that I would do, which is a regret I would change, is that I'm going to value relationships. If I meet you, I want to feel you. I want to enjoy the moment with you. I want to connect with you so that I will never forget you. I did some stuff, but I was too serious. But it's also a blessing because it has helped me. But I'm just talking about the balance. I was privileged to have an office here, upstairs here, close to the chaplain's office. I'll feel good after lectures. People gather to come and see me in tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, feel good that, wow, you're a champion on campus. Do you know all these people? I don't know their names. Many of them, I met somebody in KPMG one day and said, do you know how you prayed for me? You fell under the anointing. Said, do you know now I'm a senior manager in KPMG? I said, my God, I would have been collecting free honorarium if I knew you. I would have paid more attention to relationship. I'm telling you. I shared a story with you. One day I was going to Abia State, and I was going through, Abia does not have an airport as at that time, 2003, and even now, they still don't. Apologies if you're from Abia. I mean, if you're from Abia State. I love you. I have many in-laws from Abia State. Good. So I always go through Samu Bakwe Airport in Owerri. So I go through Owerri. How many of you are from Owerri? But the airport not so nice, but good. So I picked it up. And I entered into the aircraft. The man sat down next to me, short man. But by the time I'm done with the story, you see that actually he's taller than me in life. I'm the one thinking that he's short. But really, if you measure us, I'm taller than him. He was reading newspaper. I said, good morning, sir. I have a rule that if I meet you, I want to connect with you. There's in systems thinking, there's something called the power of interconnectedness. That every human being is connected together. And every human being has an energy to why God brought them close to you. The fact that you came here is an energy. You sat down. There's an energy of interconnection that I could speak to you. And if we ever pass by to talk, there must be an energy responsible for that in God. That you must be able to interpret that well, or else you would have met your helpers in life, but you never knew it. I sat down with this man. I said, good morning, how are you doing? He said, fine. It was a 6 a.m. flight to that place. I was like, oh, good. The man said, he just left me and he started reading the newspaper. And I felt really bad. I felt bad because, number one, it was a business class. Number two, I didn't play business class. I'm going to be taking juice or puff inside aircraft. I do business class because I want to meet great people. That's where I've met great people before. Let me ask you a question. In your life, have you ever seen the magazine that shows that they are selling aircraft? Have you seen it before? That they are selling aircraft. The one you see on Facebook, it doesn't have an engine. That they are selling aeroplanes before. You hardly see it because where you are determines what you see, what sees you, and what follows you. So I tell myself that, okay, this is it. So I picked it up, and I felt bad the man wasn't talking to me. I felt I'd lost something because relationship is very powerful to me. Then guess what? The next thing, it was 35 minutes into the flight, and we have to just get down. And the man said, I'm sorry, I couldn't talk to you. I saw that you wanted to talk to me, but I was reading about myself. So it means that this man he must be a great man for him to be reading about himself. Then I paid more attention to him. Then when he was coming down the aircraft, I said, sir, can I help you with your briefcase? He was also shocked that who takes business class and helps somebody to carry a briefcase? And I carried his briefcase. You need to know how old I was then. Carried his briefcase, and I followed him. We came down the aircraft. Then I saw 3 police officers walking towards me. Now, I don't know if this has ever happened to you before, that you can play the video of your life. Everything that's happened to the day you were born, in maybe it was 20 years, you can play it in 30 seconds. You can mix, you can edit well, do some coloration, then produce it in 1 minute. That means that day I felt that my day of death has finally come. You know why? Because remember I told you I was indebted and I was owing people money. So because I had not paid the millions of naira, people had been giving me threats. They've been sending threat messages to me. So anything in uniform was traumatic to me, including Boy Scout. Then I saw 3 officers walking towards me. And I just knew that, well, I would have wished this was in my house. I was arrested. I would have wished it was somewhere. But why at the airport? And the 3 guys came towards me and they saluted me. I don't know if your heart had been up before and suddenly it's like you had received cold water and you're like, you can't want to arrest me and salute me. So, okay, calm down. It's not you. They saluted you and I began to smile. I was smiling at them. Then suddenly it dawned on me that don't be a fool. It's not you they are saluting. They are saluting the person standing next to you. I said, yes, because the man said that he was reading about himself. Then I saw that when they saluted and they faced me, actually they were looking at him, not me. Then they took the briefcase from me. And the man said, let's connect in Lagos. He gave me his complimentary card. His complimentary card, I went to where I was going to pick my luggage. The complimentary card I saw the name, Professor Yemi Osibajo. Calm down, not the one you know. I'll tell you the one you know. So I picked it up and like, wow. So I went to his office at CUC Consulting in Ikoyi, the chamber, CUC chamber rather. So I went there. He had a PA that always followed him up and down, all of that, And I liked the PA, I honored him. So one day I went to see him. Second time I went to see him. The third time the PA told me, why are you always calling me sir? I said, let me call you sir. He said, why? He said, Oga likes you now. Just go in and see Oga. But I was wise enough to know that the same respect you give somebody at the top, the same thing you give the people that follow them. Never fall for that. One day, myself and the governor spoke on the phone. And I said, Mr. Governor, I have a file on your table. And you know I don't disturb you. Can you help me approve this so I can get this out of the way? That was when the governor was going to get some copies of Several Star Teacher. I was going to buy 5,000 copies. I said, can you sign this? And, and he said, I checked. They said they can't find your file. A governor said they can't find your file. And it is true, because the governor can't be looking for the file for you. Then I got intelligence report, the person that was sitting on the file. He's one woman who is probably 60-something, old-looking, traditionalist that looks like Black Tiger, And I noticed that her countenance to me had been bad. I woke up that morning, I went to her office. When I went to the woman's office, I said nothing. As I went there, I prostrated to greet her. And I said, good morning, ma. The woman looked at me. You can prostrate and greet me? You can prostrate and greet me? I said, yes. Why can't I prostrate? I'm humble. Then the woman started laughing. He said, I know why you are here. Your file will get to the governor tomorrow morning. That was how my file came out. Critical conversion. I could as well get there and say, man of God. I'm a man of God. In the name of Jesus, bring out that file. You see, when you want to kill mosquito, you don't go and carry gun now. You just look for small thing to kill mosquito. It's when you want to kill something big that you use big stuff. So you just, you release the power small. Be a video shaker. I got it up. Let me continue the story. I need to round off in, my God, 1 minute. Believe God with me, 1 minute. Then, where did I stop in the story? You like gist. So I greeted the man, and I went there first time, second time, third time. I woke up one day, that man became the Attorney General. I woke up one day, that man became the Vice President of Nigeria. That's the one you know. Then I woke up one day, the man became the president Nigeria never had. So it means that I met potentially a man who was going to be the president of a nation. Listen, how would I have prayed that God, as I'm going out today, bring a president before me? What kind of track record, what kind of permutation or commutation can move that one day I will meet a president of a nation? But potentially, everything you will need in life, you will pass by it at a potential phase. You have to be able to recognize it, optimize it, and maximize it. If you don't see it, then you will be praying. I shared a story about how the church gathered together and they were praying that Peter should be released in the Bible. Do you remember that story? As they were praying, Peter came, they opened the door, they saw him. Do you know they closed the door back and they continued to pray? Can you see how stupid some religious people can be? Then why are you praying if you don't believe what you are praying? The guy came, opened the door, you saw him, you closed it back. He says he's an angel, he's a ghost, and you continue to pray. Lord, release Peter. Lord, release Peter. And Peter, you see, you need to know what's happening in Peter's heart that day. If they did not open the door for him to come down, if they catch him from that prison, you know it was jailbreak. You are the only one that knows as an angel that brought you out. If they catch you, they will kill you immediately. Immediately. One day, I always oil my relationships, spend time on my relationship. I know their birthdays, I connect with them. Never go to people because you love them. Don't go to people because you want to collect from them, rather. Go to people because you really and genuinely love them and have something that you are doing for them within the framework of legality, something good, something positive that you are exchanging with them. It will help you. Somebody met me one day. I said, I saw you at this thing. I said, yes, I can't remember. He said, but I called you 2 weeks ago. I introduced myself to you. I said, did I pick? She said, yes. I said, you are lucky. He said, but the problem is that every time I call you, I introduce myself to you. And why is my number not saved on your phone? I said, I'm sorry. There's no reason why I will save your number on my phone. And that's the truth. If I meet everybody, imagine I take all your numbers and I save it. Of what use is that number to me? But potentially, there's a great use. But there's a way you can come into my life that can keep you in my front like this, that I know that you won't be the one to call me. I'll be the one to call you. So you're seeking mentorship. While you are seeking mentorship, be smart to say that, what can I do for my mentor that he's not doing for himself, no matter how small? It's an exchange. It keeps you right in front of your mentor, and he will never forget you. He will never forget you. That guy that was PA that day became what is called the DG for Consumer Protection. And his name came out in ministerial list. That means I met a PA who was earning 40K, 60K, and I was honoring him. I was respecting him. Now he became a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not a minister of a church, of a nation. You would always meet them at their potential. So look at your neighbor, say, treat me well. Now, look for somebody else who is smiling, not somebody who's just said, you better treat me well. Never underrate me. Say, I'm going somewhere to happen. And that's the truth. That is the truth. As I round off this morning, there are many things I shared. If you get the book, it will help you. As I round off now, Africa needs you. I love to speak to the soul of Africa a lot because that's my passion. Africa needs you. That you are an African and you're now a Nigerian is enough to limit you. It's enough to limit you. It's a great disadvantage to be an African. I've been in European Union meetings, I've been in African Union meetings, I've been in several places. Sometimes the color of your skin is a problem to the world. In the airports, you need to see how you're treated sometimes. You can be praying in the spirit and all of that, but I'm just telling you that's the reality of Africa. To rise in Africa is a major problem. At best, if you came from a good home, you will end up being average, not global. You will end up becoming global, average. By global competitive index, there's every reason why Africans cannot rise. Our natural resources have now become what is called our greatest disadvantage. What do we have to pride in? We have natural resources in Africa. Of what use is the natural resources? Do you know that if I cultivate cocoa and I spend $10, if I plant it then $10, I cultivate it $10, then I harvest it $10. How much have I spent? $30. Then I sell it to somebody, an Italian, a French guy, an European, and I sell it for $40. How much have I made? I've made $10. With that $10, I call it prosperity. With that $10, I send my children to school. With that $10, I do great stuff. I ride nice car. I buy land, and I feel that I have arrived. Then the man who bought it for $40 takes the same cocoa, and he goes to do what? Process it, and turns the cocoa into chocolate, brings back the chocolate to Nigeria, and he sells the chocolate for $100. That means that every time you buy that chocolate, the man makes $60 on top of you, including the $10 that you thought you got. Some people have gone into debt even with the $10 because they wanted to buy chocolate. At the end of the day, what we consume is not what we produce. And that is an embarrassment to a continent. How can you consume what you do not produce? It's still a mystery that we must understand. The same thing for our gold, the same thing for our uranium, the same thing for our jewelries and everything that we buy. Africa needs us. Every time we go to beg for money, I hope you know favor is not free. Every money we buy, we sell our soul. We sell something out as a nation. For every favor that you seek, there's a high cost of freedom that you will lose as a person and as an African. Then you understand that there's an agenda for everything, because agenda is the strength of the universe. God is counting on you to rise, to promise yourself that no matter how the landscape of this continent is, that you are going to rise above what you have said. You're going to rise up the challenge and do yourself a great deal. Give yourself the possibility that you would always rise in the midst of issues. You cannot pretend that things are against us. We see it everywhere. If you like, go and study in America. Go and study in the UK. When you get there, you would see what I am telling you. What we call success now is not something that I even want to be. I rather want to be great than be successful. Of what use is success if it's just economics of things? One man, a guy shared with me one day his dream and his ambition and told me that if he has money, this is what he would do with his life. I said, may you never have money. I said, may God make you poor. And the man felt bad and walked away from, because if you had the ideas in his life, you will know that what he was going to use money for was going to do us more harm as human beings than God. I said, God will even punish you. He won't give you any money. Of what use is this? That we think that to be successful is just economics of things, then we lose essence and we lose our meaning. I got to Accra one of these days, and they pointed and told me 90% of the women doing prostitution are from Nigeria. That they came to train Ghanaians on how to do prostitution. That Ghanaians do prostitutions for free. But Nigerians came and showed them that they can be very rich and they can make livelihood from this. The last time I checked, I know factors of production to be land, labor, capital. I didn't see pennies, I didn't see buttocks, I didn't see all kinds of rubbish there. You must understand the greatest asset of your life is your mind. This is all Africa has. And God is counting on you. You know, it's going to be my greatest desire, and it's going to be my prayer, that in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I'm going to meet some of you. You are going to be greater than the story of us that you have heard. than the Vice Chancellor's story, than Dr. Agbola's story, Professor Sonia's story, and everybody, Pastor Stephen Oga, your story will stun the world. You would have to explain to us that, don't you get it, that I was there that day in Covenant University, US. I said, I will say you can't be there. I will say you're a big man. He said, you will say you can't be there. You say, I was there. I heard you, but see what God has done for me. I have organization. I employed 10,000 people. Who am I speaking to? I have an organization. I have 20,000 people. So I'm equivalent. What I am worth now can buy 24 nations. And you are saying, this is what my life has become. Does that sound like the story of your life this evening? I'm talking to Africans that will emerge and they will arise and they would say that they will give it all it takes. They will be the first of. One day I asked somebody in my state, I said, has anybody been on Forbes in my entire state? They said, nobody. I said, does that mean I am the first person there? They said, yes. And that's why the governor needed to see you. I'm saying to you, somebody here, because of you, you are going to put the name of your family, the name of your village, you're going to put it on the global map. You don't sound like you believe it. You will be so great that you'll be greater than the nation. Have you seen how Dr. David Oyedepo is revered around the world? What you see here every day, the man that you see, the people here that you see, we that we are outside, we crave for it. People die for it, for the gift that you have received. You cannot pass through this place and be small. You can't. If I'm talking to another institution, I may not talk this deep, but this is my own. It's too late for you not to succeed. It's too late for you not to be great. Please develop capacity. Get better. Get better. Don't be part of people increasing the nuisance value of Nigeria. We have seen enough nuisance in this country. You don't need to add yours with education. Go with the focus. God has a place for you, and there's something that He wants you to do. Please, I know they tell you don't give up in life. I agree with you, and I also disagree. There are things that you have to give up on. People say don't give up. In therapy, it is wrong to say to a large number of people, don't give up. If it's a small number of people, one person, if you say don't give up, it makes sense. Because you have listened to the person and you have said, okay, this frustration, this depression, don't give up. But if I say to a large number of people, I say don't give up, that's not very accurate. Because there are things that you have to give up on. There are some of you that have to give up on bad friends. Does that not sound like it? Some of you have to give up going to some wrong places. Some of you have to give up some wrong habits. There are things that you must give up, and there are things that you must not give up for. Does that make sense to you? So I want you to stand to your feet with me. I'm done. I want you to take this affirmation with me. Lift your fist up. And I want you to say it with excitement and affirm yourself, regulate your future, and speak to your future. Does that make sense to you? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? You don't sound like you are ready. Are you ready? Say, I am an African under God. Say, I vow to change the history of the black race. I vow to change the history of the black man. So with my talents, my giftings, my vision, my tenacity, my passion, I will take over the world one day at a time. Say, I will never be small. You guys are not saying it well. Say, I will never be small. Say, I will never be few. Say, I will be great. Say, I will be great. Say, I will deliver this generation from backwardness and regression. Say, I am that new generation of leaders arising. Say, Africa, you will hear my voice. Africa, you will know my name. Africa, you will forever remember that I came. Say, I vow to deliver you. If that's you, give yourself a shout tonight. Thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate it. We are going to be done in 2 minutes. Help me thank the guys, this MC, Fokbe, and this beautiful damsel. Help me appreciate them. And everybody, I love you. I'm going to be around at the end to interact with you, sign your autographs, and be with you. Thank you.
Please, Covenant University, a round of applause for Dr. Akin Akinpelu.